The cafe was buzzing that morning, its usual crowd of hurried businesspeople, tired students, and retirees sipping on steaming cups of coffee. At the corner, a young waitress named Maya moved quickly from table to table, balancing trays with ease despite the weariness in her eyes. Maya wasn't highly educated. She had dropped out of school at 15 to help her single mother pay bills, and since then, life had been a daily hustle. But what she lacked in formal schooling, she made up for in heart. Customers loved her, she always had a warm smile, remembered their orders, and treated even the grumpiest regulars with patience. That morning, something unusual caught her attention. A middle-aged man sat nervously at a table near the window. He clutched a small dictionary and struggled to communicate with the cashier. His accent was heavy, his words broken. Maya realized he wasn't speaking English at all, he was speaking French. The cashier, confused and impatient, shrugged him off. "Sorry, sir, I don't understand." The man looked embarrassed, his cheeks flushing as other customers started to stare. Maya's heart ached. Without hesitation, she hurried over. "Bonjour, monsieur," she said softly, in clear, fluent French. "Comment puis-je vous aider?" "Good morning, sir. How may I help you?" The man's eyes widened. Relief washed over him, and he began speaking rapidly in his native tongue. Maya listened attentively, nodding. A few moments later, she turned to the cashier and translated, "He just wants a black coffee and a croissant, nothing fancy." The cashier blinked, surprised. Maya smiled at the Frenchman, then hurried off to bring his order. The cafe seemed to pause. A few customers had overheard. One whispered to another, "I thought she barely finished school, how does she know French?" What no one knew was that Maya had taught herself. She couldn't afford college, but in the quiet hours after her late shifts, she borrowed old French books from the library and listened to free lessons online. She dreamed of one day traveling to Paris, but it was just that, a dream. For now, she was content with helping people, one small act of kindness at a time. At the next table sat an older gentleman in an expensive suit. His silver hair gleamed under the cafe lights, and his eyes followed the scene closely. He had been quietly stirring his espresso, unnoticed by most. But when Maya returned with the French customer's food, speaking with such ease and kindness, something in his heart stirred. The French customer placed a trembling hand over his chest and said, "Merci, mademoiselle. Vous êtes un ange." "Thank you, miss. You are an angel." Maya blushed. "C'est rien, monsieur." "You're welcome." He left soon after, smiling for the first time since he'd walked in. Maya went back to wiping tables, unaware that the man in the suit was still watching her. When he finished his espresso, he left a folded note beneath the saucer along with a tip that made Maya freeze when she saw it. It wasn't just a few bills, it was $500. Her hands shook as she opened the note. Inside, written in elegant handwriting, were the words, "True intelligence is not measured by degrees, but by the heart. Meet me tomorrow at this cafe at 9 a.m. I would like to talk to you about your future. Richard Langford." Maya's breath caught. The name was familiar. Richard Langford wasn't just any man, he was a billionaire philanthropist, known across the country for funding scholarships and humanitarian projects. All night, Maya tossed and turned, unsure whether to believe it or dismiss it as some cruel prank. But something inside her urged her to show up. The next morning, dressed in her cleanest apron, she nervously waited at the cafe. At exactly 9, a sleek black car pulled up, and Richard Langford himself stepped out. He smiled warmly. "Maya?" Her voice trembled. "Why yes, sir. I watched what you did yesterday," he said, pulling out a chair. "You saw a man in need, and without hesitation, you stepped in with kindness. That's rare. But what struck me most was that you taught yourself French, despite your circumstances. That kind of determination, that kind of heart, it's the foundation of real success." Maya's eyes filled with tears. I just wanted to help. And that's exactly why I'm here." He slid an envelope across the table. "Inside is a ticket. A one-way ticket to Paris. I'm offering to sponsor your education abroad. Not just because you're capable, but because the world needs people like you, people who lift others without expecting anything in return." Maya's jaw dropped. Her fingers shook as she opened the envelope. It was real, a plane ticket to Paris, along with a note of sponsorship. Her breath hitched. "But why me? I'm just a waitress." Richard smiled. "You're not just anything. You are proof that kindness, perseverance, and self-learning are more valuable than titles or wealth. The world will recognize that someday. I'm only giving you the chance to step into it sooner." Tears streamed down Maya's face. For the first time in years, she felt like her dreams weren't impossible. She wasn't just surviving anymore, she had a future. As the cafe buzzed with morning chatter, Maya whispered, "Thank you. I promise I won't waste this chance." Richard patted her hand gently. "The only thing I ask is that you never lose the heart that made me notice you in the first place." Years later, newspapers in Paris would publish her story, "From waitress to language ambassador, Maya Thompson inspires millions." And when asked what changed her life, she always answered the same way. One act of kindness can open doors you never knew existed. Never underestimate the power of a good heart.